What do we have for today? I have three things prepared. One is we still have to close out chapter 17 about the Aorist. We left a few sentences hanging that I wanted to go through. Then there was one of those sentences was pretty wild. It's talking to a student, a neglectful student, and basically it says something like, if they put you in fetters, you're going to set them on fire and escape anyways, which is, I mean, you have to ask yourself what's going on here. So I looked up the original story and have that prepared for you guys. And then finally, I'm hoping we're going to get to chapter 18, which is about a smaller verb form which becomes important in Coptic, the not yet verb form. Actually, it also exists in Middle Egyptian. It's Sejm T and then F, Sejm Tef. And that is still used in Late Egyptian, and it ultimately becomes a thing in slightly modified form in Coptic as well, in Patti Sotem. So I have not yet heard. I'm going to get to that one, hopefully towards the end. All right, then let's go straight into it. Quick recap for what we covered the last time. We went over the aorist. I think that's what it is more generally called. Some people might want to call it the habitual. I kind of like that name simply because some people also call just the general first present tui sejm in certain forms might call that an aorist. It's tricky, nomenclature. Habitual captures the meaning of that form very nicely, namely a form that describes what normally happens. That would be the positive or affirmative form. And then the negative, things that never happen or that cannot happen, that are principally not able to happen. They also have their own form. In the positive, it would be, well, the more classical one is khar sejmef. So you just have a khar glued in front of a sejmef. And then more and more you get this form which uses a periphrastic construction. In other words, you take the auxiliary iri to make, to do, and glue that in the middle, and basically have the khar sejmef form of iri, and then stick the normal infinitive after that. So it becomes khar iref sejmef, which basically later in Coptic then becomes shaf sotem. He generally hears. He generally does this. He usually does this. This becomes a big thing in Coptic. It's also pretty prominent in Demotic. In Late Egyptian, you're only going to see the beginnings of it. It shows up occasionally, and you might at first think khar means very often means and, but keep that other possibility in mind that it could be that khar iri iref sejm form, and then meaning something like the Coptic habitual. One that you're going to see a lot is the negative form, especially, again, the one with the periphrastic construction. Bu iref sejm, he generally doesn't hear, one doesn't do this, basically. A statement that something is not possible or generally not done. This becomes mef in Coptic, mef sotem. It's basically the bu becoming an m, and the iref losing about half its constituents, but enough is left standing to basically give you that separate verb form. So we've talked a bit about the form, we talked a bit about the meaning. Any questions? Otherwise, I'll go on with the examples we didn't finish last time. Okay, then let me go straight there. So we had a few examples. For example, the first one we had, even if millions attack them, no, if I attack millions, their legs cannot stand firm. They will have to flee, basically. This one was a good example in Neveu because it has both the negative form, they cannot stand firm, and the positive form, they have to flee. They will always flee. So thus says the Pharaoh confidently. Another example here as well, the mountains cannot stand before him. Bu achatau erechatif. So I'm not sure why I wrote this here twice. Oh yes, this would have been the form with the periphrastic construction. This here was the more classical one, which has just the bu sejmef. This is how you would write it if you wanted to smuggle an iri in between. Yeah, that's as far as we got. Neveu had a few more. I put one on the page. A few words here. So is later Coptic ime. to know or to understand. Here in this sentence, understand fits better. It can have both meanings. And then there's another word here, key, nature, with a Q at the beginning. Those two will help making sense out of the sentence at the bottom. And if anybody wants to take that one, that would be great. Oopsie, my apologies. Any takers?
Take it.
Jonathan, you want it? Looks like the algorithm has picked you.
I can do it.
Oh, Evan, okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Let's go for it.
Herbu.
Oops. We are Hebrew today. Hang on. Why? Verbo.
Iri.
That's right.
Hayek.
Oops, something's missing. Oh, maybe I just didn't hear it. That's right.
Hayek. Key.
That's right.
So I can't understand your nature.
That's pretty much it. I can't understand your nature. Any comment apart from that, or pretty straightforward? Not understand your nature. I mean, literally, it says, I don't understand your nature, but I think can in English fits much better because that's obviously meant. It's just like, I cannot understand. I cannot understand your nature. I don't know the context on this one. One thing maybe to point out, he is spelled with a T at the end, even though it is a masculine word, probably because it ends in a vowel. Well done. Then I would say let's just go straight to the remaining ones. 3 more. And yeah, I'll just again take volunteers to the front. The first one I should help a little bit. Asha literally means plentiful, but in this sentence, Neveu translates it as rich, and that makes way more sense. Otherwise, the whole thing doesn't make much sense, I think. It's a longer sentence, one half and a second half. And yeah, both have aorists again. Oh, do they? I'm not sure about the second. Let's get there in a moment.
Well, I can try, suppose.
All right.
So took Ash. Was it Ash?
Asha. That's right.
Asha. Der.
Oops. Ger.
EU. Nej, MDR EU. Okay. Yeah.
That's right.
Iker. So you're plentiful completely towards excellence.
Not excellence, but rich in this case.
Yeah, you're rich.
You're taking the Iker. Iker can be excellent, but or not excellent, but yeah.
Astute.
Right. But Iker just simply means like a lot, exceedingly. Like.
Okay, so you're very excellent. Or you're very.
Forget about excellent. Like Nefer and Iker would be like completely good. So this actually qualifies whatever comes before it.
So you're plentiful in completely.
It's quite a superlative, yes. You're right. So let's make it happen. You're plentiful. You're completely, absolutely rich, maybe. Let's put it this way. Okay, and then how does he go on?
Then it's well, I can't say it. Bu eri iruk.
Yeah, I'll keep I would have done the same, but I'll stay with the Erik that he has.
Okay. The and get. Oh, I forgot this word. This is the
something.
Nothing. Is that
exactly.
okay?
In the negative, it's anything. So nothing. You're right.
Okay. And well, so not making you give anything of one.
Yeah, but what is this here? I mean, literally, you're not wrong, but we just talked about bu iri plus infinitive. So which verb form is this?
Oh, so you never give anything to this one or one? Anybody? Okay.
To anybody. You got it. Tug, Asha, and Jerry Erika, you're completely, absolutely filthy witch. Bu Irik, Deet, Naked, and Wa. But, I mean, you want to like smuggle a but in there in English, but you never give anything to anybody. All right. Cool. Want to try the second half as well?
Yeah. I also got what ir means. Is it if? Or is it? Okay. So ir pa enti iu ma.
Yeah, you would think ma, but the whole thing, these two together.
Man.
Yeah. In Coptic, it would be imon.
I can't remember that one. Okay.
Not have. It's the negative of when tough, especially when it comes with MD afterwards. It's that construction to say somebody has. So the whole thing's actually one thing. Imon
Okay.
imtif.
Okay.
So we give you the answer there. Okay. Yeah.
Jedu. Jedu. Okay, this is not a word.
That is right. Ajad. Is there a U? Yes, there's a U. So Ajad.
So,
oh, go ahead.
No.
You know what that one is?
I'm guessing children or family.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. So if that which if that which you don't have children, is it that?
Close. Don't think which, but think who. Then it makes more sense.
I'm lost.
Okay. So the pa enti is a bit confusing indeed. But what would you make out of mön im div? That's like one construction. He does not have, right? He does not have a jadu. He does
He doesn't have children. Okay.
Right. Pa enti iu, or in Coptic that would be pete. Pa enti iu menem div ajadu. This is a way how to make nouns. So I think you had it already, actually. You said that who does not have children. So basically, he who doesn't have children, basically. And actually, I think I misled you a little bit when you asked if this is if. Very often is if, but the primary meaning of it is of ir is as for, and that makes way more sense for the sentence. So, as for pa entiu men emdif ajadu.
So for the one without children.
You got it. As for the one who does not have children, literally, because I know sometimes literal helps. As for the one who there is not with him children, that's what it literally means. Men, there doesn't exist. Spanish no hay, there doesn't exist. Mdif with him children. Pa enti human mdif ajau, the one to whom there don't exist children. In other words, like you said, as for the one who does not have children, I messed up here, sorry. Talking and typing at the same time. So what should happen with that kind of person? Our friend here has a recommendation. Not sure I buy into it, but okay.
Her INF, NF, NF key.
Yeah, her INF. Nef, yeah.
And hem.
Nemech.
NMS.
Nemech is an orphan.
Okay, and then it's a Heperu. It's a Heperu F.
Heperu F, that's right.
So, and
Neveu adds a su, which is not in the text, but he's trying to make sense out of the grammar, so that's what he does. Okay, what do you think it means?
Yeah, and he brings to him my orphan. I forget what key means.
Literally another, which is weird in this context.
So he brings another orphan which make existing him.
Yeah. Put a comma here. So he brings himself another orphan. That's right. Or and that's where it gets a bit tricky. So Neveu claims that in this sentence, the Enef has a meaning of like may he. I would claim that it's not obvious. So may he bring himself another orphan, se cheperuf su. Cheper is to be, se cheper is a causative, so to make him be, to let's see how to translate that one. If we have a good translation on this one somewhere. Se cheper, to create. I'll just show you what Neveu said there. I'll go with what he has because I have no better idea, but I'll admit.
Is it he adopts him? Is it that?
Exactly. To bring him up is what he suggests. But how exactly did he put it? Let me say a window. Neveu.
Does it mean make him live?
You would think, but that would be se anach with an anach at the end, I think. An anch. To raise them up is what he suggests. Yeah, then he claims the Aorist here remains the nuance of obligation it had. Honestly, I haven't looked into this. I'll take it at face value, but I'd love to know what the context is. I mean, that's it's not like one of those wisdom kind of teachings, right? It says royal inscriptions. We'll have to take a look at what that actually was. It's quite a strong recommendation, isn't it? As for he who has no child, he should adopt some orphan to raise him up. So key in this sentence here is basically it literally means another, but here in the sense of some.
This word shepherd, does that mean to exist, doesn't it?
It does. To come into being or then also to exist. That's right.
Yeah, so the reason why Neveu probably said it, I haven't looked at the French, but it's se lever, which means to, we'd say bring him up. We wouldn't say raise him up. There's no sense of him being elevated.
Oh, no. You're right.
Yeah, and then I suppose that he might grow, but it would be nice to have some kind of translation that involved, living him.
I think you're right. I think what happened here is this. What was the translator's name? Kanata, I think. Kanata?
Yeah.
Maria Kanata. I think there's two expressions here going together. To raise him, that is the orphan, and to bring him up. I think the translator may have just conflated those two. Because you're right, to raise him up doesn't make any sense. That would be a completely different verb.
Yeah, actually, the French just says orphelin afin de l'élever.
Oh.
De l'élever.
Oui.
That's how it's pronounced. But yeah, it means to bring up, to
right?
raise.
Yeah, I guess Americans talk about raising children, but in England we don't.
Oh,
right.
Is that right?
Yeah, we don't talk about raising them.
No, you bring up kids.
You bring up kids in British English? That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, you might, because America is everywhere in our way we speak.
Good point.
It seems like what it's literally saying is to adopt an orphan and make him yours.
Oh, yeah. Or
and that we're just
make him
translated.
Exist, no?
Make him
not make him exist, because we wouldn't say that in English, but just make him. Make him become yours. But that it's just being translated as bring him up because that's like how you would say it in English. But I don't feel like the Egyptian says that at all. I think it just says make him yours.
There is no raising in there for sure. I'm wondering how secheper now is used. Did we have it here anywhere? Secheper. Just had create.
Is it passive?
That's the interesting question.
That's why I said make exist, because cheper is possibly translated as exist.
Yeah. I mean, the tricky part, maybe let me answer the grammar question first. What Neveu clearly does is by putting the su here, or to be precise, he puts se. by not specifying the gender at all. He's interpreting the whole thing as a subjunctive. So secheperuf, he, namely the person who has no child, shall raise it, him, her, whatever, the orphan up. Now I'm used to up myself. Bring the orphan up. That's what Neveu thinks. But it's kind of weird that they would have left out the direct object completely. And Egyptian normally likes to have those objects everywhere, even where we don't have them in English. So I don't know if I completely buy into that grammatical analysis. To your point about is it passive? I'm not sure what that is. I have no better answer than Neveu has, but it's a bit weird. For Neveu's answer to be correct, you have to assume that he left the direct object out. Otherwise, what would it be? It would be some kind of infinitive, right? To raise him up. So it could be Aorist, like it could be like a final construction like that to indicate the purpose. To raise him, to bring him up, name, i.e. the orphan. Possible? I don't know. It's a bit of a mystery. Interesting in that sentence, though, I think we have a negative aorist. You never give anything to anybody. In this case, really, just straight up habitual negative, you don't do something. This here may be an aorist as well, a positive one, without the iri, though. I think that's what that could be, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, what else would it be? It could be a chur connecting two sentences, but then it's an ir and a chur. Do those normally go together? As for, I think this is an aorist here as well, if I'm not mistaken. Okie doke. Any more questions on this one? Apart from what is this? Oh, you asked what does secheper normally mean? Let's have a quick look at a few sentences. So, who makes barley and creates ammer? Iri and secheper, side by side, really meaning in both cases to make something, like really physically creating it. Okay. Or preparing it. This one here I can't read because this half of the sentence is missing. Creates a boat. That's of course from our. Oh no, that's not from our favorite Horus and Seth. This is from the Hymn to the Nile. Okay. Really? But it's talking about boats made from stone. That sounds very familiar.
That's Horus and Seth, yes.
It sounds like it, but different text. Oh, that's something I have to check out later. That's cool. Let's see, what other examples do we have here? All of them seem to mean create, as in fashion, manufacture.
I guess, I mean, creating and manufacturing is the same as giving something life, isn't it?
From the sense, yes, no doubt. Oh, here's one. Oh, look at this. This is great. This is from the, to your point, Rebecca, in a sense, or rather more, how do we call that? Well, take a look at this one. So this is from the Doom Prince, Les Princes Prédestinés, in my horrible French. In any case, Nen Yui Erdi, this is a third future. I will not give. Chotif, I mean, Chedif, by you, kill my dog. So I will not give that one kills my dog. Iri secheperev, that I have brought up. Que j'ai élevé. Que j'ai élevé? Well, whatever. That fits in the story because the prince has been having that dog for a while, if I remember correctly. So this definitely means raise in the sense of like having a pet, basically. So that actually fits very well to our sentence, I would say.
Do I remember wrong if secheper can also mean transform? Or is that very old translation?
Yeah, it's Middle Egyptian.
Middle Egyptian, it can.
Nuance. Yeah, become, transform.
Yeah, it can. And transform him?
Transform the orphan would mean not being an orphan anymore. So that sort of works.
It sort of works. Although, honestly, looking at these two sentences, here's another one from the two brothers, talking about his elder brother, who has brought me up. I remember that passage. He's basically talking about how could I do something against my elder brother who's been like a father to me. Cherpai'a, and my elder one, Eroi, na, Entof Sicheperwi. He is the one who has brought me up, I guess. So this really makes, I think this concludes it for me. In both cases here, you're really talking about bringing somebody up or raising somebody or nourishing them. So that kind of
Forming
fits.
them.
Go again?
Forming them, you're forming someone when you raise them.
Right. I mean, every language does that differently. Like in Chinese, for example, it's yang to feed or for animals. Not sure about humans. And pets are little animals. The first time somebody asked me if I had little animals, I thought, ooh, what? Okay, no, in any case, so that just stands for pets. But back to Egyptian. So, endless tangents.
That's great.
So, no, great job on the sentence, Jonathan. I think we have it. Yeah, and now I'm really curious what the context is in which these recommendations are being made. The next one is way easier. Anybody want to take it? This one is not in Neveu. I smuggled it in from another well-known story. Which one? Truth and Lie, also known as the blinding of truth. And I'll take recommendations. The scenario is that in the story, it's a ruse, it's a trick. Somebody is coming back to, I guess it's a cowherd. Yes, a cowherd, whom he has given his bull, his extravagant, larger than life, enormous and fantastic bull, prized possession for safekeeping. And now he's coming back. And in that context, he says to the cowherd, well, whatever it says here, obviously asking for his bull back, but what specifically does he say? Let's take it as a reading exercise first.
No, I'll go.
Awesome.
All right, so we have Bu Irui Peteref. Oh, Bu Irui.
Yeah.
Chenu. Naik. And this is Iau or Kau, probably. I don't know which one.
It could be cow, or it could also sorry.
Ingenu.
It could be Ihu as well, I guess. What's Ngenu? I don't know that one. Is that another?
Yeah, that's another one for cattle. Yeah, Ingenu.
Okay, I got you.
No, ladies and gentlemen.
Got it. I mean, this sign is so polyvalent. Can mean different things. Okay, what do you make out of it?
So literally, it says like, so I wasn't able to see it, or I was not able to see it, or able to see him. Or I could not see him in, let's see, in your herd, or in amongst is it's not herd. I was not able to see him. Also, not him. See them in your herd, or see yours.
You were already very close. I mean, just make it cows maybe, because it's plural. It's Nike.
Yeah. Amongst your cows or in your cows?
Amongst the cows or amongst the bulls. Exactly.
The bulls.
And I like what you did in between. You already changed it. Namely, I could very well be present tense. This is not a past tense. I couldn't see him, or I cannot see him amongst your cows, bulls. In the story, that is because that bull has been taken away. It's like I said, a ruse there, connected to a bigger case, and he's basically stating the obvious here. I cannot see my bull amongst your bulls or your cows. So where is it? What did you do with it? All right, well done. So here we have the negative aorist. with an iri in the middle of it. Suffix pronoun at the end, see him, namely the bull. Yeah, and that's really it. Well done. And one last one.
I can take it.
All right. Transliteration. Mhm.
Ir jed tu dead tu. Ha
Mhm.
pech.
Mhm.
Does that continue? Pechet, maybe?
Pechat, yeah. According to
Pechat.
Neveu. I didn't know the word, but it's over here. Fetters, or stocks.
Okay.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, there it is. M
Mhm.
redwi
That's right.
k.
Did we? Mhm.
Ger bloody ha, I think.
You're correct. Yeah.
Never
Good.
sure which H that is. I want to say qui, but
It's a late Egyptian quirk. Sometimes Cree just stands for.
oh,
Nope.
just k.
That's right. Just K. Nib looks very similar, Rebecca, but it doesn't have the little loop, so that couldn't happen. But what often enough happens is that Cree, because they're both pronounced K at this point in time.
Oh, so I know that there is one k that is spelled k and one that is spelled qui, and I end up mixing them up. I get it.
And so do they. They mix them up.
Yeah. I mean, that was from the point of view of a late Egyptian.
You got it. Mhm.
Chet
Mhm.
reseset.
This is a very complex spelling for something way simpler. It's actually really just this.
RS. Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. You see it very often though. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mgerechet. I don't think that T belongs there because the Middle Egyptian word is gerech.
Right.
Night or something.
Yeah.
Night. It's night, yeah.
Night, yes.
Shorech? I forgot. Gorech, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you got it. What do you make out of it?
So
for the transliteration.
I'm sorry?
Spot on for the transliteration.
Okay. So if something with give tapechet with the fetters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I translated with if the fetters are put on your legs.
Mm-hmm.
So you do something to it in the night, but I don't know what cha'a means.
Chet, you mean, right? Oh, cha. Cha is ko in Coptic. It means to put. To place. Put fits better here.
Okay. You put... I know a lot of words that are chet, but none with this determinative.
What is that determinative normally? What does it belong to?
Fire or flame, I think.
Correct. Anything with heat or flame. Chet is fire.
Oh, okay. You put fire on it in the night, to it in the night.
You got it. And I went like, what on earth? I mean, these are questionable educational practices. What exactly is going on here? Before we look at that, I looked up the original text. So just for the sentence, so this here is just a regular, what is that actually? Think about it. D2. If one puts the fetters on I mean, it's in singular, the stocks on your legs, you put fire on them. What exactly is D2?
I would have guessed a sejam 2F. Just
it is.
And that's very Middle Egyptian, but in Middle Egyptian it would make sense as a passive sejam F.
I think we'll get there. I mean, I noticed an interesting pattern here because here we had another ir sentence and then followed by a cher, and I mean, basically followed by the whatchamacallit, by the aorist. Now I'm wondering if that's a thing. We'll get there once we get to syntax. How you make like if sentences with real conditions and unreal conditions and the like. I'm going to skip it for the moment because I'd be making stuff up. But that's like the last part of the book.
So this is actually quite interesting because Neveu gives it as a nice translation, gives an indefinite subject. Like if one puts fetters, etc., but then in brackets is a literal translation, gives if fetters are put, so gives a passive. So I think he also considers this a passive.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think the passive part is fine. Just what tense is that? Is that?
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm hung up on. The passive, I 100%.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not catch that.
No. It's just like, what is that? Because.
And why is it germinating?
And why is it germinating?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Isn't that this thing that we have? Now I'm going down the rabbit hole.
But for passive.
What is this thingy? I'll take it as a follow-up. Let's do that, just to avoid wasting too much time. It's an interesting question what's going on here time-wise, tense-wise. So to be confirmed later. Okay, cool. So as to what's going on in the bigger context of things, I thought I'd look it up. It's actually, there's several of these on the Anastasi papyri. This one is also known as Turin R, but it's also part of the Anastasi collection. So they have their Fates books. And I don't know how we want to do that. In the interest of time, maybe I'll just do this one as far as I could piece it together myself. If you want to look it up, it's in the TLA under Turin A, or it's also in Camino's Late Egyptian Miscellanies for the full text under, again, Papyrus Turin A. There are several texts in there, and one of them is the advice or admonition to an idle scribe. So maybe I'll just go through this one real quickly myself, just to give it a bit of context. So Khanajed is essentially another way how to start a new paragraph or a new topic, because there are other things before and after. So furthermore, Enti, Jeti, and I, as to what has been said to me, or one says to me, Hak, you have put, Sechau, your writing, oh no, sorry, you have put the writing aside, basically. So the aside you have to add mentally. Basically, you've given up on your writing, you've given up on your studies. Sham, this is a weird word because it occurs in two different texts with a very similar environment. There's like a little dancing man at the end, so this must be something that has to do with reveling or whatnot. But since we don't exactly know what it is, it has been translated by several people as whirl. You whirl, shamek. So you whirl yabu in dancing. So you revel, you spend your time in entertainment. I keep it loose simply because we don't really know what that word means. There's some connection has been made to mesh, to Shem, to walk, but they're occurring in the same text and they're spelled very differently. So I'm having my doubts about that, but I often have my doubts about things, so who knows. What else? Ibek Teftev, Hatek Mechi. Tef is another difficult one. I'm going to go with tentatively confused. So your heart is, your mind is confused. Hatek Mechit. Mechi is to swim, to drown, to flood. So basically your heart is flooded, your heart is drowning. It doesn't really completely work in English, but I think you get the meaning. Basically, you're pretty messed up with all that activity that you're engaging in. Cherek mi pa sesh. Wait, seshu is what he writes here. The normal word is sesha. Sesha is the bubalis. Let's get their why in a moment. So your face is like a bubalis. Okay, why? Tu kheritu. Emra, Pui. Kheri is prepared. Kheritu, you are prepared. I'm assuming that is a stative. To Kheritu, you're prepared. Emra, in a state of. Pui. Pui is a variant of pa, to fly. So you're prepared in a state of flight. I'm assuming. So this is what a bubalis is. I actually never knew what it looked like. And I could only found it by looking for the German word, Kuhantilope. So this is our little animal here. Honestly, this one looks very restful. I mean, looks like they're always on the lookout, maybe. That could be. I'm trying to get the image that our scribe here is aiming for. Hey. There's another one. That's fine. Okay. All right. In any case, so that is a bubalis antilope or antelope, or however you pronounce that thing. Antilope in German. These look very restful for me, and I looked up a few other videos, and they seem to be always in a restful position. So I'm not quite sure what that's all about a state
Maybe
of
he
flight.
means he looks dopey. Like your face is like a bubal. He's like a lazy. You have a stupid face.
That would make way more sense, wouldn't it? Right? I don't know how that fits to the part of fleeing, though. Okay. So it goes on. Ek emra, you are again in a state of what? War, of fleeing. So ready to fly, ready to flee, essentially. And then comes our sentence that we just looked at. Ir jetu ta pechat emreduik. If fetters are put onto your legs. Cha'a, cha'ak, chet eras, gerech. You put fire to them in the night. Irik, you make. Chetef, there's a T missing here. Chetef, you make climbing. In other words, you climb. You climb inbu, the walls. What walls? Kai, you climb high walls. Emtaset, in the place. Enti tuk imos, that you are in. So obviously we're having to deal with a very unwilling student here who's trying to escape and play truant at whatever opportunity. It goes on then, the next sentence essentially is that when you go to your parents, they're making light of it. So apparently we don't have adequate support in the family here either. If you want to see the whole thing, like I said, TLA, Papyrus Theorine A, you can search the corpus there, or Caminos, Lady Egyptian Miscellanies, but I thought I'd share what that weird sentence is coming from. The other thing that's cool is
That's great. That's really funny.
It's funny, isn't it?
I'm particularly amused by the note that the parents make light of this. Like some things never change, do they? And your modern teacher could complain about the same thing.
Seems like it, indeed. And I've seen them complain about it online mostly.
I have one at home, so a teacher, so
okay.
I've heard it firsthand.
Got it. The other thing that's pretty cool, I mean, apart from the fact that the vocabulary here is challenging because some of the words are like almost hapaxes, appear like in one or two other places, and that's it. Apart from that challenge grammatically, we can pass that text. I mean, this is all good standard grammar that we've already covered. So that is kind of cool. We have that kui written K here a few times. We have a lot of first, we have that new suffix subject pronoun took in a couple of places. But yeah, overall, should all be pretty familiar. All right. Anything else on the aorist or habitual? Otherwise, I'm going to go on to chapter 18. If not, then let me go on. So, chapter 18. Hang on, I have to make the video smaller again. These are the tenses we've encountered officially so far. In reality, we had about twice as many because there's stuff that always shows up in the examples and we've gone over them as they show up. But officially so far, we've covered the first present, so tui chresechem, or in Coptic, tisotem, I hear, with the ch falling out. To make it negative, you just slap a bun in front of it. So bentui chesegem, or in Coptic it becomes enti sotem. In Coptic it would normally add an an. That is yuna in Late Egyptian, with the bubalis again in the spelling. But it is not obligatory in this type of verbal first present sentences. It's more common for some other first present constructions. So it would be just enti sotem, so to say, but then in Coptic you normally add an to it, like a double two-part negation. So that's a first present with a lot of different meanings. Can mean something is currently happening, something always happens. So it can also have like a aorist or habitual kind of component to it. It can be just a statement of fact. I hear, I am hearing, I usually hear. All of these are possible. Then we had the past sechem-f, sechmui, which dies out, well, almost dies out in Coptic. I say almost because the version where you put an iri in between it, you form the segem f of iri. So iruyu is something segem. How do I do it? I did hearing, so to say. That becomes afsotem in Coptic. So the form is not completely dead. It lives on in the conjugation of iri, and that forms the past tense prefix in Coptic. But honestly, it's a far cry from the fully fledged segem f that you have in Late Egyptian, that you still have in Demotic, but then it's finally gone and replaced completely by this construction. So afsotem, he heard, would be sechmui in Late Egyptian. How do you make a negative? Can you just slap a ben in front of it? No, you can't. You have to use a completely different construction. Bupui, or probably it was just pronounced MP. MP segem. I did not hear. Becomes MP sotem in Coptic. That's how you know that this is probably group writing and was not pronounced with all its consonants, because there would be a mouthful. Bupui, probably not. MP segem. So those were the past tense forms. And then we just covered the habitual or aorist with all its many forms, just sejmi. I normally hear, or iri sejem. Same thing, just with the iri smuggled in between. And the negative forms with the bu, either direct or with an iri in between. The ones with the iri live on. They become, well, for the first person, it would be shai sotem and mei sotem, I think. I hope I didn't get that wrong. Okay, so the I and A here, those are the leftovers of the iri again. And now we come to the next form. Not that prominent. Oh, yes, sir. Go ahead.
Got a question. Are the tenses the same? So we have bupu sejemi and bu iri sejemi are the same tense?
Oh, great point. This one is actually normally presented, presentage, that's German. How would I say that? It's a present tense. So habitual, without any time reference, how should I put it? This really, to my understanding, is it generally doesn't happen, if that makes sense. It's not a past tense.
Okay.
Now that you mentioned that, however, there's something in my head. Hang on. For the negation of the perfective segem f. Give me a quick moment. I mean, the past tense is normally negated with pupui or MP, as I like to call it. Yeah, can't really think of anything else. Did that answer the question, or was your question something else that I'm missing?
Yeah, no, that was, I mean, not exactly, but I was which I probably shouldn't do. I was just trying to rely on Middle Egyptian to see the origin of bu, to see maybe that's good, to try to find out what the tense would be. Bu
Gotcha.
versus nin, or bu versus ni, which I can't remember right now. But yeah, or is it tenseless? Is it?
It's tenseless. To my understanding, it's tenseless.
And just the context would give us the
context would give you that.
The tense.
I mean, that's where the aorist part comes from. I mean, tenseless generally true. So referring to something that's always the case or always not the case. Doesn't have any past tense implications to the best of my knowledge. as we've seen from the examples, because all the examples we looked at actually were present tense, or operating in a tenseless space, like if something happens, then something else happens normally. There is an interesting book by Janet Johnson, one of the great contemporary demoticists, and it's called The Demotic Verbal System. And you might ask, why do I care? We're not learning demotic. That is true, but it also has an overview in here but only has it doesn't have the stages before late Egyptian. Okay, so no, that's not what I wanted. There's the negative perfect that we're going to get to in a moment, or the not yet form, but no, that's not what I wanted. There's another great one. Let me see if that has what I wanted. To your point as to how are they all related, there is the linguistic cycle. Yeah, this may work. This is a nice little thesis. I think it is a PhD thesis or something. It's basically it's some kind of student university work, but it's absolutely amazing. Basically, what this person did is look at the diachronic perspective for all the major constructions that you see in Coptic, like basically what preceded it and what replaced what. So to your point then, how does the negative habitual, here you go, N segem F, Bu segem F, shortened as Neveu claims to Bu segem F, then made into a periphrastic construction with the iri in the middle. And that finally becomes the Coptic. So at least that's the path that's being charted out here in this thesis. And for each of these, the author has a chapter. So if you're interested in that, that is the linguistic cycle in ancient Egyptian, definitely worth a read. It's honestly the most comprehensive overview I've seen. Otherwise, you have bits and pieces in different publications, but not all of them in one go. And then for each, basically, there's like a detailed analysis how this behaved over time. The overall thesis of the thesis is that you can watch the so-called linguistic cycle at work, essentially synthetic forms becoming analytical, becoming synthetic again. So that's what the author is trying to show for different examples. But in the process, a whole like diachronic view of Egyptian came about, which is kind of awesome, honestly. And the author's name was, hang on. Here we go.
Rachel Hannah McLaughlin.
Yes, indeed.
Oh.
So, and I think it's available for free on the internet. So if not, let me know.
Archive has it.
Yeah. Right, University of Liverpool. Really fantastic work. Where were we? Okay. So the form I wanted to come to right now, or that Neveu wants to come to, is the not yet form. That's another form with iri. Well, I'm jumping a little bit ahead. Mostly another form with iri, but it has the T in there. Let's see how that thing comes about. So the older form is a segem tef, as if I'm not mistaken, N segem tef. If I'm not mistaken, to not have done something yet, to not have heard something yet. So it's the same meaning. However, the simpler construct, so just the N gets replaced by bu. The restriction in late Egyptian is, according to Neveu, that you can only use a handful of verbs with the simple construction. You can still do it for to give, for to make, come, and know, but that's it. So for example, wait, is that really a regia? That should be I think that should be a char. I'll look that up later. But I think that should be a char. Question mark. In any case, the main part is bu dituf aku. Provisions have not been given yet. Wait, sorry. He hasn't given provisions yet. I'm sorry. I made it into a passive because I was misled by the two here, just so used to thinking of it as passive. But no, that's of course our segem tef form. So he has not given provisions yet. Okay, and there's an expectation, but this will happen in the future soon. Now, with all other verbs, you have to use the iri in between. So you use the sejam tef form of iri, and it becomes bu iri tef sejam. He has not heard yet. So with here, you would actually have to use that form because here is not in that small group of verbs that can take the direct construction. And I would say, just looking at the clock, let's continue there next time. I have a few example sentences, mostly from Neveu, and I would say let's cover those in 2 weeks. So far, so good. All right. Well, then everybody have a great weekend and see you next week for hopefully for Horst set.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Have a good
Thank
weekend.
you.
Bye bye.
Have a great weekend.